Decision 2024 news. Vice President Kamala Harris was back on the campaign trail this afternoon in the battleground state of Georgia. She's been hitting the road since becoming the front runner for the Democratic nomination. And now we've learned she'll hit the trail next week alongside her yet to be named running mate, even though she said today she has yet to make her selection. NBC 10 political commentator Sue O'Connell joining us now. Sue, Kamala Harris only launched her campaign days ago. So Republicans still trying to find a way to define her. They've been calling her a DEI candidate who lacks intelligence. That didn't seem to be getting a lot of ground. So now they're shifting, calling her the most progressive, liberal, far left person who has ever run for president. Is she?
No. She is objectively not, J.C. Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, we could list a few. They're much more progressive than Harris is or was. And many progressives and leftists are very critical of Harris. Some are calling her a cop because she was a prosecutor, and they don't want to vote for a cop. And some feel that her foreign policy, especially around the Middle East, would be too conservative. But to give the Republicans some due here, during her 2019 campaign for president and in 2020, she did support progressive causes, very progressive causes. So you are going to see ads that show her expressing very progressive ideals, like calling for the elimination of health insurance, private health insurance, abolishing ICE, banning fracking. But the challenge for Republicans here, though, is that Harris is clearly, right now, in this election, running as a former prosecutor. And she doesn't have to court the progressives like she did the last time. So these accusations about her being very progressive may not stick.
Sue, what about tech? Let's talk about San Francisco, one of the most liberal cities in the country, and a lot of tech companies are headquartered there. And it seems many of those CEOs who were thought to be Democrats are coming out actually in full support of Trump. J.D. Vance, by the way, once worked in tech. And it's some of these same CEOs who are pushing Trump to choose him as a running mate, which he did. What caused the shift, and how do you see tech and people like Elon Musk impacting the election?
Well, it isn't every single tech giant. Some are actually supporting the Democrats and Harris, and there is a bit of a civil war that's happening in Silicon Valley. But the giants and the billionaires supporting Trump, look, they have their eyes on him winning, and they hope that Trump would reduce government oversight over their industries, reduce their taxes, help stop unions, which many of them are very against. And some of these tech giants also have some very interesting ideas on remaking the country, including encouraging everyone to have lots and lots of children, which Vance has talked about. And also, some are pushing this idea to launch these digital sovereign communities. And they think that Trump is the president to help them move these concepts forward. And with Elon in charge of X and social media, the playing field is wide open for them to do that, J.C.
Well, among the criticisms Republicans are leveling at Kamala Harris is immigration. They say she was the border czar, so anything at the border is her fault. Democrats say she was never the border czar. What's the deal here? Why hasn't Harris really spoken about the border in her campaign? And if she does, how would you advise her to talk about it?
Yeah, Harris doesn't really need to talk about that or any policy issues quite yet because she doesn't have to, because she's still in her honeymoon phase. But she should talk about it soon, if not for any other reason than to keep the Trump campaign from totally defining the narrative about immigration and other issues and putting it on her. But if I were her and I were her campaign, I wouldn't quibble over whether she was the border czar or not. I would just point out that Trump's meddling in the border deal that Biden tried to get passed squandered an opportunity to make progress. And then, if I were Harris, I would pick a running mate like Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona, who's been very vocal about border issues and critical of the Biden administration. And then I would make him the border czar and let him worry about the criticisms and have them take the argument to him. So I'd pass the buck, as you know, J.C., my favorite thing to do.
No, well, I see the strategy, though. You laid that out clearly. Sue, thank you. We stay on top of local presidential politics every Sunday on At Issue. Be sure to join Sue, Matt Pritchard, and Corey Smith for our latest episode this weekend.